righty then, here we are. A new month, a new face of God that we are going to focus on today. And thank you so much for taking time to ultimately invest in your relationship with our Papa. He loves us so much, and He loves it when we feed our spirit so that we can stay strong against the enemy and strong in our prioritizing of things that are of eternal value. And so, good job. Good job for feeding your spirit. And whether you're with me every day or you're just popping in for this time, I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak into your life. And I want to say thank you. So many times we get letters in the mail and we get checks in the mail to the ministry, of course, and expressing how you appreciate, the way that you're being fed spiritually through Restore 7. And we are doing our best to grow it beyond Johnny and I, and we are slowly launching over the course of several years. We're slowly launching 7 branches of Restore 7. Surprise, surprise. They are called Restore Government, Restore Family, Restore Education, etc. And each of these are going to have a director that really builds out a whole affiliation of organizations that we partner with, that we want to partner with in the future, related to reforming these specific areas of culture. And so we have officially launched one of them, and that is Restore Government. And our director, Nilsa Alvarez, we've had on a podcast before, and she's amazing. She was I forget the official title, but she worked in the campaign for DeSantis and for Trump related to the Hispanic vote here in the United States. And by the way, did you know that 40% of the citizens, the eligible voting citizens of this nation, legal eligible voting citizens of this nation, 40% of the total are Hispanics. So we have quite a beautiful influence of the Hispanic community on this overall beautiful melting pot that we love called the United States. So anyway, our director is Nilsa Alvarez, and she has incredible experience, but we also have added our daughter Justice to the leadership team, and I can't remember her official title, but she is going to be basically like the face, the branding of Restore Government, at least for this season. And she has just launched a website called restoregovernment.org that you're going to want to check out. On there, Nilsa has put a course that she has built. It's all video, and it's phenomenal. It's called Reforming Gov 101. And it's for anyone that's interested in impacting government on any level, just starting from ground zero, and which I think is all of us. And so if you have time and that's something that interests you, go to restoregovernment.org, go through her course. And then also on there, Justice is slowly adding blogs, and really helps us kind of process how do we communicate about some of these hot button issues right now. She also has created a Restore Government TikTok, if you happen to be on TikTok. She's created a Restore Government Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow us, that branch of our ministry, on any of those platforms. So I wanted to tell you about that. I also want to tell you very quickly about an opportunity for a very intimate setting of a women's retreat. A dear friend of mine, who she and her husband also served on our what do we call it, advisory board for Restore 7 for years. They are just an incredible couple. They spent a couple of years as a family at Bethel School of Ministry, and they live in the Chicago area. I think it's Dixon. Illinois, and she has put together what sounds like the most amazing retreat. If I could actually go, I would. But she has, it's only 14 women that are going to be gathered, and she has it about half full. So there is room for about 7 of you ladies to go and join her. And you know that I wouldn't recommend something like that to you lightly, especially since you don't know her. But the teachers sound like they're just going to be phenomenal. It's such an intimate setting. And the women that are going so far just sound like an incredible array of women from all different seasons of life. And so whether you have young kids or you're older or you're single, sounds like there's a place for you here. I don't know the price, but if that kind of stirs in your spirit and you think that you might be able to go, it's actually next weekend. So it's July 9th through 11th. And if you go to her, they set up a Facebook page for it. And I'm going to tell you the name of the Facebook page. It's called Restore Retreat, which I love it that it's called Restore Retreat with all that we have going on with the whole restore thing. But Restore Retreat, and you can find out on Facebook. Her name is Crystal Jordan Freise, Freise. And so you can go to that. Afterwards, I'm going to put a link in the comments of each one of these platforms. I'll put a link in the comments. On Instagram, I'll just put the information in the comments so that you can go to Facebook and search it. But anyway, I know that would just be for a few of you, but I just felt when I talked to her yesterday that they don't have to fill those spots. They're fine with just the group that they have. But I think it would be an incredible opportunity for a handful of you who might end up wanting to go, and you can somehow pull it off at the last minute like this. Maybe you live up in that area. So we're going to jump into a new focus this month, and we are focused on the face of God as provider in the Mtn of Economy. And as we talked with Johnny the last 2 days, if you missed that, go back and watch it. I mean, he just has such an incredible teaching on the 7 seals and on Revelation. I can guarantee you've never heard it before. And I'm not usually interested in a whole lot of exploring into the depths of the book of Revelation, because to me it has always felt overwhelming. But something about the way, the insight that Johnny has in overall in the book of Revelation is so encouraging, refreshing, insightful. It's amazing. So go back and listen to those if you're interested. But as we talked about yesterday, God as love, and this is the year we're focused on choose love. God as love looks like a nuanced difference of his expression of love in each of these areas of culture. So in the area of culture that we know and experience as economy, we have these broken systems of economic systems that, tempt us to believe that we're orphans, that we're on our own, that we have to, scrape and strive and do in order to provide ultimately for ourselves. And the reality is there is a God who loves us, who created us to partner with him for provision. Partner with him in that we show up and we do our part, and he comes with his favor and he does what we cannot do on our own. And then partner with him in terms of reflecting that part of who he is to others. So there's an aspect of him, obviously, that is generous. The generous heart of our Father loves to provide for the earth and for humanity and for all of his sons and daughters, even the ones that haven't yet chosen him. And he loves to provide for us. And so when we partner with him and we know that aspect of who and how he is, then we get to be generous and we get to be conduits of his generosity to others. And so in a nutshell, that's where we're headed for this month. I will pause right here and talk just for a minute about our going back to on Monday and Tuesday when I talked to you. Actually, it was Monday. I talked to you about kind of the identity that I wanted to speak into us this week that I felt from the Holy Spirit. And it's our identity as stewards. And, this morning as I was meditating on that, I was just thinking how We're called to steward every moment. We're called to steward every moment, to be fully present in any given moment, connected to our Father, abiding in Him in such a way that, as the bracelet says, WWJD, what would Jesus do? And as much as I love that, I think we have a deeper revelation of that. And the deeper revelation is, in my opinion, what would Jesus do in partnership with me right now? What would the Father do in partnership with me right now? Not like Jesus who existed a long time ago, or Jesus who is in heaven. If he were in my shoes, what would he do? He is in your shoes. He's in every moment with us. He's in us. We are abiding in him. And so together, Jesus wants to presently do something or say something or be something to someone. And so it's an honor and a privilege to just sit with him in each moment and discover with him, what should we do? And it's a partnership. It was never meant to be something disconnected from him that we try to figure out and then do as if we were him. Like he is in every moment with us. So how do we steward every moment? So that's my question for you today is, are you willing to steward every moment? And I think sometimes many of us are kind of a more black and white, all or nothing kind of person. And so if we feel like, I don't know, for whatever reason, stress in our lives or shame, whatever, I don't know, there's a variety of reasons that we feel disconnected from the Lord. And when we feel disconnected, we're less likely to involve him in a moment. And we put it off even subconsciously to involve him in something until we kind of like get our ducks back in a row, or till we kind of feel that reconnection with him. And the thing is, okay, in a natural relationship, if you disconnect from someone, they probably also disconnect from you. That's just a reality. If you disconnect from someone, then they kind of pull back too. It's just how we are as humans in our fallenness. But Jesus isn't like that. When we disconnect from him, he stays right on our heels. He like, that doesn't scare him away. It's like, in the same way that if a baby disconnected somehow in their, if a baby somehow disconnects from their mother, like, I ain't interested right now. I don't know. A mother just would, are you kidding me? Like, I'm never going to disconnect from this infant. This is my child. I don't care what kind of attitude they have any given moment. I am here for it. And that's our Father. That's Jesus. That's Holy Spirit. They are like right there with us, and they're never disconnected. And so they're already fully in the moment. And so when we talk about, stewarding the moment, partnering with him, and wondering what would the Lord do in this situation, if you can tell, I'm trying to talk myself back from that rabbit trail I just went on. There was a point I was about to make. It is that Jesus has, he's not waiting on us to feel something in order to partner with us in something. So you could be having, a crazy day, not feel anything, not feel connected, but all of a sudden just realize there's a moment he wants to do something with you for someone else. And you can still partner with him when you have things that you still want to sort out with him. Does that make sense? And I realized that even in marriage, used to be like early on in my relationship with Johnny, like, when I would feel a disconnect over something, maybe he hurt my feelings or I was annoyed about something, it's like life could not go on until that thing was fixed, until there was complete resolve. And now there'll be things that still come up between the two of us, but life still goes on. Like, I can press past press past the frustration of a moment or needing to feel something different in my relationship with him, and fully show up with my heart intact, and we can partner in something. And we'll circle back around and resolve whatever it is needs to be resolved. But I'm just saying there comes a maturity in our relationship with the Lord where we can steward over moments with him, even when things need to still be sorted out. Even if there's an area of disappointment or an area of contradiction, an area that you're trying to, grow a little bit more in, that doesn't mean you can't be fully present and partner with him in making a difference in someone's life in a moment. So anyway, that was your stewardship motivational speech for the day. All right, I'm gonna go back to this book, Rainbow God, The 7 Colors of Love, that Johnny and I wrote together, and I am going to read the first page or two of the chapter on let's see if I can find it, Provider. It's called Provider, the Color of Riches. So speaking of yesterday when we went to Revelation 5:12 and we looked at worthy is the Lamb to receive glory and honor and strength and wisdom and all of that. It speaks of 7 different things that our Father, that Jesus is worthy of receiving, and he's worthy of receiving riches. Riches is one of the 7 things from Revelation 5:12. And so the color, in terms of the rainbow of these 7 aspects of who God is, the color is the color of riches. So the Lord is worthy to receive riches. Well, how do you give him something that you haven't first received yourself? So the Lord wants to be generous with us so that we can be generous back with him and through him to others. So if you have this book, we're in chapter 8, page 173. And I'm going to read to you, let's see what time it is. I'm going to read to you a page and a half. All right. Provider, the color of riches, the solution for our economic systems. This is me speaking first. Money, like God, is something everyone has a relationship with, whether they acknowledge it or not. Our relationship with money is unique to the way we were first introduced to it, how much or how little interaction we have had with it, and our future plans for it. Some learn to live without it, while others are dying with it. Americans have engraved their pledge of trust in God on it, but live in fear and stress when it's hard to find. Once again, we want to challenge you to confront your current relationship with money and see if your perspective of God as provider may need expanding. Love displayed as riches. This is the section called Love Displayed as Riches. In the context of economy, we chose the color green to represent God as the provider of riches. Green not only makes Americans think of the dollar and prosperity, but also the life of new plants in the spring that begin to overtake the death of winter. Green speaks to us of something that is healthy and vibrant. Of course, in recent years, the expression of "go green" reminds us to value the life and resources on our planet enough to conserve them. Our provider is the source of all we value and of life itself. Green is another color of his love that our economy could use more of. God's love is so limitless that it overflows everywhere things are done his way. For those who have hearts to let him in, there's always plenty of love. When economy is done God's way, his love overflows as riches, and there's plenty to go around. We've seen God's love overflow in family as Papa, in religion as Redeemer, in government as King, in media as Communicator, and in education as Wisdom. His love in our economic culture overflows as God, our provider. What does God provide for us? Nothing less than the riches of his love. Love looks like riches when displayed in a nation's economy. God's love is meant to be displayed as riches or the abundance of resources through our economy. When the world economic system is functioning at peak performance, we will know it because there will be no lack. To the degree love is poured out as practical resources and basic needs, we can know God is involved in our economy, whether it's our personal, national, or global economic status. His heart is moved by what enslaves us, our poverty, as well as our greed. Both enslave us. His love searches out all the things that keep us from knowing Him as provider. And when we get His heart, we will do the same for others. As important as money and economy are for obvious reasons, the main reason they're important is because they're yet another aspect of who God is and another opportunity to know and interact with the real Him. What does God think about money and economic structures of nations? Does it matter to Him whether you or your nation has plenty or lives in poverty? If you think He does care, then why do you think so? In your mind, is it because He wants to punish or reward you? Or because He thinks you have or haven't worked hard enough to earn it? If you're one who thinks that God doesn't care about your financial situation, maybe it's because you believe He's left you on your own to figure it out. Again, like a spiritual orphan. What you believe about money reflects what you believe about God. And what you believe about God is reflected in what you believe about money. So now I'm going to switch to Johnny writing here. So Johnny says, what we collectively believe about money is played out in our economic system, which is clearly failing. We've been hearing warnings for years and years about the economy crashing, but since August 29th, 2008, we have had clear evidence of a world economic crisis that continues to reverberate. Again, this was written probably 9 years ago now. The leading financial experts have seemingly all offered their best solutions, yet nothing has worked. Certain indexes have improved, but a frighteningly overwhelming debt threatens our very way of life. No one's economic projection is good, and many are simply terrifying. The fact that the world's economic system is failing doesn't mean all economies will fail. It just means the present system is failing. The failing system is based on assumptions that have been conclusively proven to be wrong. Some assumptions are at individual levels, and some assumptions are at national levels. There seems to be an honest attempt to find the right way to have a balanced, vibrant economy. But if we don't identify the systemic failures, we won't do much better moving forward. All failed economic systems are founded on philosophical fallacies. These are ideas that have a future destruction sewn into them from their conception. The two most impacting failed ideas in the economic area of our culture are: number one, if you want to make money, you have to love money. And if you want to have more money, you must save more money. These two foundational thoughts feed a central lie about God that we are all tempted to believe, especially in these days. I'm going to repeat, and that's the end of what I'm reading today, but I just want to repeat these two most impacting failed ideas in the economic area of our culture. If you want to make money, you have to love money. That is a lie. And if you want to have more money, you must save more money. That is a lie. I have seen these play out, and there is a level of economic prosperity that you can have in saving. And saving is a kingdom. How would I say this? It is wisdom to save. But there's always a greater truth that trumps over the lesser truths, even though the lesser truths are fully true. The greater truth than saving is generosity and being a conduit. So we're gonna really become more expert on this face of God as a generous provider, so that we can really begin to get that in our spirit over this month and be conduits of that aspect of who He is. I will remind you that, as I said, we wrote this book, Rainbow God, The 7 Colors of Love, before President Trump was in office. And all the crazy things that have happened in this nation's economic system in the past, 6 years, 5 or 6 years, have been really interesting. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much of that is obvious to any of us, because I think that there is a lot of deep state maneuvering and deep state taking out, that they have done some tinkering that is not normal with our economic system. And it's allowed us, honestly, to stay afloat in a really precarious time. Clearly, the current face of the administration here in our nation is clueless with the economy, and we're seeing evidence of that. But I still feel that there's some good guys in the background that are keeping things afloat on the financial side. That probably makes no sense at all to some of you. You can read between the lines and see what I'm saying. But anyway, my point with that is that we wrote this book prior to what is currently happening. And I think I know a lot of things are about to become a lot more clear. It's taking longer than I ever thought it would, but I'm still very that we have nothing but things to celebrate on the horizon of what ultimately God is doing in our nation here in the United States, and it will reverberate to the rest of the world. So stay tuned. I recently heard an interview with President Trump, and I can't remember who was interviewing him, but it was on Father's Day, so it was in June. And the guy interviewing him said, President Trump, a lot of people are very concerned about what's happening in our nation right now. Do you have anything that you can say that will encourage them? And he paused and he said, stay tuned. And the interviewer said, really? That's all you're going to tell us? Can you give us more? That's it? And President Trump laughed and he said, yep, that's it. Stay tuned. Just stay tuned. So I feel like that kind of summarizes where so many of us are right now. There is a pause, and I've said it for months now. It's a pregnant pause. And there is a pause. When you use that expression, a pregnant pause, it's for emphasis. If you're talking and you want to really emphasize what you're saying, you make this dramatic pause, right? I believe we are in a very dramatic pause right now, even in the spirit realm. And in this pregnant pause, this pause that is pregnant with emphasis, things are being shifted in many people. I think in all of us, if we're half awake, there is an awakening that is happening in this delay. And so I'm grateful for it. I am at times impatient. And I also just feel these waves of invitation into intercession right now. I'm sure many of you do. And so the song that I picked for you today is, to me, it feels like an intercession song. And so it also happens to work with our focus this month. The song is called Jehovah, Jireh. And this is by an artist that I had never heard before. She has an incredible, powerful voice. And it's a really good one. Anyway, it's called Jehovah Jireh. And Jireh, in case you don't know, is spelled Jireh. Jireh, Jehovah Jireh, and it's by Jekalyn Carr, and I'm going to spell that for you. J-E-K, Jekalyn, A-L-Y-N. Jekalyn Carr, C-A-R-R. And you can find her on YouTube. Probably this song is also on other platforms for your music. But Jekalyn Carr, Jehovah Jireh, I have that typed out for you in the description under the title here. Again, if you're interested in that retreat, I will, in just a few minutes when we hop off here, I'll put it into the comments and you can follow up on that. So I would love to pray over you. Father, we love this space of yours. You have been so generous to each one of us. And you have made us stewards over the things that you've been generous with us. And we want to grow in our stewardship, and we want to grow in our generosity, and we want to mature into the fullness of who you are in the ways that we see you and in the ways that we make you seen. And we just press in this month. Show us your face as provider. Open the eyes of our spirit to see and know you, this aspect of who you are, in a new and fresh way. Make us experts on your generosity, on who you are as provider, so that we can show up in life with excellence as those who provide your solutions and your funding for the things that you want to do here in our generation and in the generations to come. We trust you. We trust you as provider, and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. So speaking of wealth and prosperity, Johnny is going to be doing an Elijah Streams tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central Time, somewhat on this topic. And so you might want to tune in to Elijah Streams live, or you can watch it after. Alrighty then, go be a steward over every moment and look for opportunities to partner with God as provider. Be someone else's proof that that God cares. You know, I think that all or nothing thing in some of us, we don't want to be generous because we feel like what little bit we have to give to someone, whether it's money or time or whatever, isn't going to be enough, right? But sometimes it's not the amount of time or the amount of money that you are generous with to someone else. It's the fact that they get to even see that aspect of God at all. It's like maybe it's, being at the grocery store and noticing someone ahead of you that doesn't seem to have very much, and they may look like the wealthiest person ever, but maybe they've never experienced the face of God as provider, and you just step in and you're just like, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm a Christian and I look for ways to encourage people. And I felt like God said to pay for your groceries today. And I know you may not even need me to do that, and it's not about you needing it, but God just wants to remind you that he's taking care of you. I mean, wow, wouldn't that be so powerful? So it's just listen to his face as provider and be that to somebody else. Okay, I'll stop. Love you. Have a great rest of your day or evening, and I'll be back with you tomorrow, Friday, end of the week.